Hope everybody's having a good day, good morning, good evening. I'm a little under weather myself. Got the old Dodge warming up. It's a little chilly. Got a rear end in the back of the truck. I gotta take that to my uncle's. I'm gonna see if he can do something with that rear end. Had a guy give it to me, so he's usually pretty good at selling stuff. So he's also got a little Fox body he's done picked up that he wants to sell. So we're gonna go down there and check that out. Got a few things running around we gotta do. I done laid around the house about as long as I can lay around the house trying to get feeling better. So we gotta get up and do some stuff. Got my axles, so we're gonna work on that today. Then I had another little project, try to slide in the shop again. So we'll see that in a little bit, but I'm on, we're gonna go get some breakfast, run to Summit, pick up some parts, and start the day. Hey, so I'm gonna see if we can't get a shot of what I just seen driving down the road.
Crews on the scene, 25.
Hey, so you don't see these driving around every day. Come on, Chick-fil-A. Like, y'all gotta do better than this. Look at that tiny little thing. Look at this little bitty thing. This strawberry lemonade be rocking though.
Come on, man. Yeah.
Two doors on, four low on, hit the gas, roll the dope, blow smoke on.
Square box shape, these are 33s, 6-inch lift with the...
Well, we're back. So, what did we have to go to Summit for? Well, we had to go to Summit for one of these. So, what is this? Anybody know what this is? Well, this is what you buy when you buy. Hang on. Let me show you. One of those that don't have an LS in it. So, what is this for? It's for when your freaking Ford 4.6 starts spitting out the spark plugs. Yep. Called time certs. You timely cert them into the block, into the head. So that's what that's for, because this basically because that right there is spitting out the spark plugs. Call it the rod knocking, spark plug spitting Ford. Anyway, I ain't never done this. I think it's pretty self-explanatory how this works. That's gonna go in there. The only thing I gotta find out is you got this clip that looks like it goes here. And it looks like it goes here and here. So what I gotta figure out is this engine Pacific? So does this engine go all the way down? Right? I assume it would go all the way down. Reason being, his spark plug doesn't have that long, goofy electrode on the end of it. Let me see. I can show you. Here it is. So they make another version of this spark plug, and the end of it has a really long electrode or something. So there's this version, and I think there's that version, and there may be another one. But anyway, so I'm going to assume this setting would be for his, because his spark plug I can drill all the way through. If you had the weird spark plug, then you would have like a little taper down at the bottom of that, and you couldn't go all the way through because the electrode that would hang off of this would be thinner than that, right? So basically the spark plug hole would come down to here, and then it would taper in and then go out or go down longer, right? So if you were drilling, you could only drill down to here. You wouldn't be able to drill no further because that would be like a little taper going around there. So I'm going to say that I'm going to be able to drill all the way through, and that's probably how that's going to be. And I'm going to say on this, I can put it right here, and I can just run that taper all the way through there because it shouldn't matter. There's nothing down there. It's just a hole in the end of a hole. So that's my assumption of that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he's gonna do all 8 or we're just gonna do the one. Probably just gonna do the one and see if the others make it. Yeah. So we got our axles in. And also, if I sound like crap, it's because it feels like COVID, the flu, and a sinus infection had a 3-way inside my body somewhere. So my voice is a little off. I feel like I got the Biden flu. My brain's a little off. So hopefully we ain't gonna screw nothing up. I mean, technically, I already made a boo-boo. I came out here, I was feeling pretty bad. I'm like, hey, like most men, keep it moving. You know, if you're sick, keep going. Don't let the sickness win. And this is what I ended up doing. So I came in here and I welded the upper arms, but the mistake that I made is I didn't drill a hole. So I couldn't put the rosette weld in there. Right, so the little, let me see, I think they're over here. Yeah, so see, I couldn't put that in that arm. So what I'll do is, I think those bars are like 1/8 of an inch thick. I'll measure 1/8 of an inch, set it up on my drill press, set that little dial on the side of the drill press to 1/8 of an inch and drill down, and it'll be okay. So I got the axles the other day. I wasn't feeling like videoing at the time. I went ahead and slid them in. And got out here and marked a couple things and started looking at some stuff. So the brackets that came with these brakes, that's not for my housing. I'm going to have to order that. But then I started looking at these brackets that I ordered, or I got at Summit, and thought maybe I can make that work. So this is detachable, right? See how that's detachable. So I put this bracket up there and marked where the axle hub goes. Basically goes right here. Then set that right there, brought it back, checked some stuff and thought, hey, that'll work. I can get 2 bolt holes right here. So I'll show you right here. So like this inner. So I marked where this right here goes. So I have to cut it to right here for it to clear that disc brake. Then this, you know, instead of being flush, you put them on top and that spaces it back. That way it doesn't hit the disc brake. And it also aligns your caliper where it's got to be. So I checked where the caliper had to be to the rotor while it was up there. And I know about how far back it's got to come, which is basically that little gap right there. All I got to do is space it back a little bit and it'll be fine. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut these ears off right here. I'm going to drill 2 holes. That'll place it in place where I need it. And then what I'm thinking is I'm going to come right here and I'm going to weld it in. And I'll weld it, and then I'll end up coming on the back side and welding it. And it may work. And if that works, then I ain't going to worry about ordering the brackets because it'll be fine. So, yeah. One other thing I wanted to talk about before I get too far, or for anybody that might have watched the video and said, oh, I can kind of do what he's doing. So I want to make this clear on building this rear end. The reason I built my rear end and took the measurements that I took, the way I took them, is because I've already got a rear end with those ends, and that math applies to this rear end. That's how I was able to do my measurements the way I did them with this and figure it out, because I already had 9-inch ends, 9-inch axles on this 8.8. Let's jump on some other work.
Dark-eyed woman walks in like an old song with that sweet Tennessee accent. I say, damn.
So how this is going to work I can do this with a, ain't got no shadow. See how that lip is? See how this is all the way up against that axle hub? So what I'm gonna end up doing is I'm just gonna back it off about that much evenly, which will line up with that hole somewhat that I put. See it back there? That second hole? I can't point at it because I'm holding the phone and I'm holding the caliper. But that's where it's gonna line up at. Okay, we got the bracket off. As y'all can see, I had to scribe some lines. I'm like backwards. Here, 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 and here. So I'm gonna take the die grinder and I'm gonna shave that down a little bit. And I may have to put it back up here and check it to the rotor one more time because the rotor was bumping these spots. And I gotta get that off before we commit to putting that bracket on here. Got the disc brakes on, got the caliper on. Looking on the back side, everything's looking good. I got good clearance in here. Let's see what y'all can see, right? There's enough clearance right there for a nice little weld. So I think I'm gonna be okay on that too. The pads are, they could have came out about a 16th, maybe. It'll be okay. I mean, that ain't gotta be perfect. I'm trying to look up in there. Yeah, that ain't gotta be perfect. That's good. We're good. That's it, man. So I got it ready. This side right here, if you can see this scribe mark, that's letting me know where that axle hub is. So I'm gonna put my weld here, and I'm gonna put a little bit of weld right there. And on this side, we're just gonna shoot a bead of weld and come down through here. And I'm probably gonna have to come back after I do it and grind some of that off because the disc brake comes right along here. It's not a big deal though. So I'll try to set up the camera so y'all can watch me TIG the aluminum. I'll try to set it up so it works a little bit better than that last video. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. I don't know. Anyway. We had some contamination, and nothing too bad. But we got that welded up, got the other corners hit. Got the little corners right there. Melted the hell out of those lock nuts. All right, so we're gonna let that cool and hit them with a deburring bit and get them on. And I'll also throw the wheel on there and show y'all how close everything was to where we wanted it and how the measurements came out. We were shooting for about 1 inch of clearance. Well, there's your inch, right? So it's 1 inch everywhere. Also, I can take this wheel and I can tuck it all the way to about right in here.
When I see a car like this, first thing I do is I say, would you look at this? You know what I mean?
Here we go again. Ain't that right, cousin it? All right, so we're fixing to try to replace the threads. So how you do this, so if you listen, you do that, and then when the piston comes up and the valves close, the air ain't really got nowhere to go no more, so it'll fill up the cylinder and it'll pop that piece out. And once that piece pops out, then you know that your piston's at top dead center and your valves are closed.
Keep going.
Spin it. The other way. What are you going that way for? Bro, I swear to God.
Not up on top.
All right. So this tool right here has to slide down in the spark plug hole, and it's getting caught up in that hole. You can see this one will go down in there, right? So that one drops all the way in, and this one won't. So it's got a burr. So we're gonna take a file and try to get that burr out and see if we can't get it in there. Okay, so on the end of the drill bit and on the end of this tap, there's a 1/2 inch cut into this, like a 1/2 inch socket, 6-point socket. So you can use an impact driver, right? You could use this. I wouldn't use it because it impacts. I'm going to use a drill. Now your other option would be to use a like an air ratchet. An air ratchet would be pretty smooth going in, but you want something that'll run it in. So for me, I just took a 3/8 bit. I put it in the drill, and I'm just going to use the drill to go down through there, and that's how I'm going to do it. And the other thing is make sure you soak it with some WD-40 to keep it lubed up. The other thing you can do is put some grease in the groove. Like we're talking about the drill bit, so you can put grease in here, and you can even do it with this tap. If you put the grease in here, it'll grab a lot of your aluminum chips as you're going down through there. This battery's dead. Okay, so if you look right there, you see the 2 pins. Oh, this freaking flashlight's down too. There we go. So if you look right here, you can see these 2 pins. That's your stop. Once it hits those, you're done. You've went all the way through. So now you pull that stuff out. What we're going to do is take this. Well, basically we're going to take a hose or take this off the end of it and stick it down in there, and we're going to try to blow all the stuff back out of the cylinder. You want to get as much of it back out as you can. If there's any little, there's a few little pieces left down in there, it's going to go out the exhaust, so it'll be okay. But you want to get as much out as you can, or you want to get all of it out. Out. And if you put grease right in here, a lot of that will get caught up in that grease, which the WD-40 held a lot of it too, but we're going to try to blow it out, see what we can get out of it. You know what? That's your punishment for me having to do that.
You just lost the hood bolts to my car.
Okay, so when you go to do the tap portion, the tap doesn't fit through here, okay? So this thing doesn't come with directions. It comes with a QR code that you can look up, and it's like a 1970s video of some guy doing something and you can't really see anything. So there's a C-clip, right? So this is what I'm assuming. Take this, run it through that way, and then pop this C-clip right here. Is what I'm thinking it is. I'm gonna take and look at it like that. So to me, that's probably right. We'll try that. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be here or there. So we're gonna try that one. If I feel it loosen up, then I know I'm about to pop out the backside. So we're gonna do it like this. I'm gonna start it by hand and see how it feels. And I don't know, I may just run it by hand all the way down in there, but I don't ever start a tap with anything but my hand. So we'll start it by hand, and if I can put the drill on it, I'll put the drill on it and just run it on through there. Okay, so when I started that by hand, it's pretty loose. So you could probably just put a drill on it, push down, hit the drill, and just run it through there. I personally would still start it by hand, and once you feel it grabbing and it's got them threads started, then I would put the drill on it then and go through. I wouldn't start it with a drill, but I guess you can do whatever you want to do. Okay, so after you do the tap, you got to do this process right here again because you got shavings down in there. So after you get through, you got all your stuff out, hit it with some brake clean, some carb clean, some choke. Do something to get some of that WD-40 out of there, because you're going to have to take some red Loctite or maybe some JB Weld and put around them threads. That way when you run that time cert down in there, it's locked into place. It's got to be permanent. That way you can change your plugs out later. If you don't do this and you're going to take your plug out, that time cert's coming back out. What did I just do?
Mm-hmm. Since I missed the recording.
Yeah. So after you put the brake clean down in there, same as getting all the chips out, put a hose down in there, blow, get that stuff back out. And if you need to do it again, blow a little bit down in there, blow it back out. You don't want to leave all that brake clean down in there. I mean, it would evaporate, but if it didn't, you don't want to do that.
Where are we going?
To the store.
Excuse me, sir.
To the store.
For what?
Because we ain't got no JB Weld, and we ain't got no Loctite. Okay, so come closer. So we're using JB Weld on this. I looked at everything up there, and the JB Weld had a higher temp. The other thing is when you run this in, there, the JB Weld's going to push up, and then it's going to seal this top piece right here. Is how that should work. I put anti-seize on the spark plug. You're going to use the spark plug to run it down in there. And when you bottom out, you want to tighten it up just like you would a normal spark plug. And then you just want to let it sit until everything cures. So you just torque it to 20 foot-pounds of torque or whatever your spark plug calls for, and that's it.
I don't ride to run from pain, I ride to feel the fire again. Every mile I leave behind gives me back a piece of my mind. I run with the wind, not away from the storm. Let the thunder hit hard, I was born to transform. Every heartbeat's a drum, pushing me through the night. I was made for the road, made for the fight. If the world comes close or the dark sets in, I don't break, I don't.
Hey, it's finally out the shop. Yeah, I got my shop back.
Holy shit! Bobby, stop! Bobby, stop! Whoa! Do not move! Do not move!
Only thing Ford left in here is that freaking rear end. All right, we can get back on the truck now. I'm putting that on pause again because I want to go ahead and get the, I got to get some parts for the third member. We need to assemble the third member, get it in so we can actually put the axles into the third member. Other than that, I think it's good. While we're waiting on some stuff for that, we're going to get the radiator and start building this bracket and stuff for that.
We kept tonight.